Let's talk about the age-old debate, Intel or AMD. But before you get too hyped up, this video is not going to be a head-to-head comparison of benchmarks. I want to approach this conversation in a different way. Rather than talking about processing powers, what other features these CPUs comes with, like platform, ecosystem, future-proofing experience, and all that. So if you're on board with that, let's talk about it. First, let's talk about architecture. Although both AMD and Intel designed their CPUs on top of x86 ISA, and both now use some form of chiplet design, but how they implement these designs are completely different. AMD is using chiplets where they create separate silicon dies that are then connected via a high-speed interconnect. Intel, on the other hand, uses a tile-based architecture. Here, tiles are integrated on a single package, often using advanced 3D stacking technology. To put it simply, AMD focuses on separating their CPU cores on chiplets and making them modular while using a very high speed and a large amount of cache to make the connection in between them, which can and does improve gaming performance, which they call 3D V-cache. And Intel design focuses on hybrid core design with P cores and E cores on a single die and IO and GPU operations on a different die. AMD and Intel both offers a wide range of CPUs based on their current architecture. And at the recording of this video, AMD is on their Zen 5 architecture and Intel is on their Arrow Lake architecture. So if you're watching this video far in the future, some things might change. Currently, Intel CPUs range from Core Ultra 5 to Core Ultra 9 on their LGA 1851 platform, which they will support for one more architecture or one more generation. AMD also has a similar SKU range ranging from Ryzen 5 to Ryzen 9, and they are on their AM5 platform, which they introduced with their 7000 series CPUs, and the platform is promised to get supported up until 2026, which means at least one more generation for AMD too. And on paper, it might seem like that both AMD and Intel are on par with each other when it comes to future-proofing and platform support. But it is farther from the truth. You just have to look a little bit closer. Intel has a reputation for not supporting their platform for more than 2 generations, even sometime not even that. And in last few years, AMD has proved that they are willing to support their platform for far longer, not only by launching new CPUs on the current platform, but also sometimes refreshing new CPUs on older platform, which we have seen with AM4. But you might have noticed something. I didn't mention anything about a Ryzen 3 or a Core Ultra 3 because at the current lineup, they don't exist. Yes, you can still buy older generation Ryzen 3s and i3s, but in that case, I would suggest you go with AMD, because even though you will be buying an older generation platform, that means AM4, you still have a wider range of CPUs that are still relevant to this day. Although in 2025, overclocking is kinda hobbyist type of thing, you don't really need to do it if you want to get the full performance of your CPU, then both Intel and AMD offers unlocked and locked CPUs. Now, what's locked and unlocked CPU? Locked CPU means you cannot overclock it unless you want to void your warranty, and unlocked CPUs means you can overclock it. And Intel offer unlocked CPUs with only those CPUs which have a K moniker at the end of it, and you can only overclock your CPU if you go with their higher end motherboard chipset. In this case, there's that series chipset. But on the other hand, AMD CPUs are unlocked no matter which CPU you are buying, and you can almost overclock on any motherboard you want. And yes, before you comment, I know A series motherboards are not overclocked supported, but here's the thing. If you are buying a Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9, how many of you are combining it with a A series motherboard? And to be honest, your first job would be to find one, but I digress. And yes, AMD do still have some locked CPUs. For an example, if you are going with an older generation X3D CPU, your overclocking skills might be limited to none, to just only memory overclocking. But the current generation X3D CPUs do support full overclocking. And now let's talk about power and thermals. If you haven't gone on PC shopping for at least 5 to 6 years, then you still have that notion on your brain that well, Intel CPUs are power efficient and they also run a little bit cooler. But I hate to break it to you, the roles have reversed. Now AMD CPUs run much cooler and also in a lot of cases are much more power efficient. And now because it's 2025, we have to talk about AI. Now, outright, Intel wins this battle because only Intel desktop CPUs currently have a built-in NPU with up to 13 TOPS of performance, and on AMD's side they don't have any CPU with any NPU built in them. But yes, the laptop CPUs do, but in this video we are not getting into the laptop range from both companies because they are messy, confusing and really bad. And at this point you should buy a MacBook Air. It's honestly a great laptop for its money, but yeah, that's a topic for another day. So what are NPUs? Well, you can check this video right here or right here. I have explained it, but in a nutshell, they are specialized CPU cores that accelerate AI performance. But even though 13 TOPS might seem a big number, they are really nothing when it comes to an external GPU's performance. And if you are serious about AI workflow, then your CPU's NPU won't really come in handy that much. But yes, Windows is slowly integrating AI features on a OS level. So in that scenario, in future, NPUs might come in handy. So if you are buying now and waiting for Windows to implement those features later, then Intel has the cake here. But to be honest, as I said, it shouldn't really matter when it comes to buying a CPU. And in 2025, both Intel and AMD has, to be honest, great drivers. Like, there are no chipset driver problem anymore, or at least I haven't seen one in a very long time. So when it comes to their software stack and driver support, they are really great. And other ecosystem features, well, now that Intel has entered the GPU market, they do have GPU specific features like XeSS and flame generation. AMD also have that kind of features, but none of them offers a combined GPU performance feature like AMD used to do back in the day, their Crossfire technology. To be honest, I think AMD should bring back Crossfire now that their GPUs are good and some of their APUs are also great. Like, that would be a great combination, like RX 9060 XT and APU. Combining them together, you are getting almost close to 9070 or even more. But yeah, that's my wet dream, and I don't think they are bringing back that technology anytime soon to consumer market. And lastly, let's talk about overall value proposition and reputation. When it comes to the reputation, well, Intel kinda are going on a very bad run here. For last few generations, their CPUs have been facing a lot of troubles. Yes, AMD did too, but those were not as widespread as it was with Intel. And when it comes to value, well, AMD do offer you more value when it comes to performance, specifically in the gaming side if you're going with the X3D CPU. But on the other hand, Intel do offer more core on chip, and also Intel has slight upper hand when it comes to single threaded performance. And yes, I know I haven't talked about memory support and which platform or which company uses the which latest PCIe X generation and whatnot. Well, to be honest, that doesn't really matter that much because that's also a little bit chipset dependent, and if we are gonna talk about chipsets, then that should require a different video because that's a long topic. I don't know why I am mispronouncing stuff a lot, but yeah, this was it. This was all the major features that both of the companies offer except processing powers. Now, I know I haven't showed you any specific benchmarks because unfortunately I am not, or this is not a big channel, so I don't have a fleet of AMD and Intel CPU to do that kind of comparison, at least for now. Let's hope in future it changes. And if you got any kind of value from this video, then consider leaving some sort of thanks. It will directly support the channel, and you can also subscribe and like the video if you liked it. And if you haven't and you think I wasted your time, I'm sorry, you can leave a dislike. And until then, this is Akash, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.